Hello and welcome to another episode of the Father and Son Pastime Podcast. I'm Patrick.
I'm Kevin. How are you?
That's my dad. Dad! We're talking old people today. It's not senior citizens. It's 35 and older baseball players.
Which is young.
It's only a couple years older than me, so I'm not eligible for this draft. I'm not eligible for this draft. Last year, for our faithful followers that watch us consistently, we did a 25 and younger draft of drafting all the really up-and-comers and seeing like what kind of team would you want to build around. And we had some opinions, we had some comments. And now we're going to do the reverse of that. We're going to do the 35 and older draft.
All DHs.
All relief pitchers.
That's right.
You'll learn that it's kind of a slim market outside the DHs and the pitchers. My dad's not wrong. This was really inspired by the Orioles, who have signed only old people this offseason. So the parameters of this is instead of our podcast where we're trying to build his dream team forever, this is a 1-year contract team, and you're taking that player for his current age. So obviously the example that my dad and I wanted to give was Justin Verlander. Justin Verlander had a phenomenal age 39-year-old season. He got the Cy Young that year, but I think he's 42 this year or 43. You're getting him in 2025 numbers. So just 1 year, what he's got, you got to factor in health, you got to factor in abilities. A bunch of those things matter for this draft. It's 35 or older at any point in the 2025 season. So kind of think of anything pre-October 1st, 1990 counts for this draft. We're not thinking playoffs. We're regular season people. So
also people that may be unsigned right now,
yes,
but are eligible to be signed.
That's a great point, Dad. They can still be a free agent because in this world, we're just drafting a 35-year and older team. Everyone's a free agent for us that we're drafting and making available. We'll do the one player per position. We just need a starter. We don't need all the reliever options, all the positions, including a DH. And at the end, we'll see who kind of drafted a better team. And then obviously we'll revisit this probably in October, November. See how many people retired mid-season, how many people
filed for Medicaid,
had the third Tommy John or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So, Dad, anything else to add before we get started?
No. It was a fun research project.
This was a fun research project, and I was shocked at some of these age disparities. Like I said, I think Verlander and maybe like Charlie Morton are some 40-year-olds that are on our list.
Justin Turner.
And obviously we have a lot of people that are truly turning 35 this season.
Yeah.
And it makes, probably you'll feel old watching this video.
Yeah.
So, Dad, without further ado, let's draw like we always draw. High card gets to choose if they draft first or in that second and third wraparound position. He got an ace. No, that wasn't dead air, people. That was just me dealing with, I got a 5. It doesn't matter. It wouldn't have mattered. Dad, would you like to take the first overall pick or would you like to take the second and third?
You know what? Let me go first because I'm thinking I have a really good selection for number 1 overall, and I'm gonna go with that, and it makes my team pretty strong.
Okay, I'm very curious. For people that are watching at home, we talked earlier that DHs and pitchers have a big depth, so I doubt that my dad takes that as number 1 overall pick. You never know. And there are some positions that really only have like 2 really solid options. So either it's not always gonna be drafting the future Hall of Famers; it's really drafting the positions from need. So, Dad, where are you drafting from?
Pitching.
Okay. Who is the standout pitcher?
Chris Sale.
He was my number 1. Yes. He's currently 35. He'll be 36 this season.
And had an incredible year last year.
Reigning Cy Young. Fantastic pick, Dad. He was my number 1. It's okay. So I will wait on my pitcher. I'll pick him dead last.
I like the preamble.
It was a great misdirection.
And I was like, he's going to be shocked when I come on with a Chris Sale. Oh, no one's going to pick a pitcher.
I wasn't going to. I was openly, even if I got the first pick, I wouldn't have chosen a pitcher.
But if he's your starter
Sale,
of your only one game of the season, you're looking good.
Well, it's not one game. It's a full 1-year contract.
I know that, but I'm just saying.
He had a great year last year.
Right.
He does have some injury history with Boston. He did seem to figure it out with Atlanta. I'm rooting for him.
I think 18-3 last year, something like that.
I want to say something close to that, but just a phenomenal ERA. Had his strikeouts up, good amount of innings.
You just can't pick up the ball.
I couldn't hit any of these guys. So that I'm going to draft from positions that really lack depth, and it's going to again surprise people. That this person's obviously not the best name on the board, but in terms of doing it, it's Max Muncy. I'm going to take Max Muncy at third base. A lot of these infielders, especially as they get older, have played multiple positions. Max Muncy has some time at first. He has some time at second over his career. But Max Muncy did a lot of third base last year, and he's kind of penciled in as the opening day starter for the Dodgers this year. So Max Muncy is my third baseman. Thinking through that, I think there is another really smart position for me to go to where the number 2 feels like a significant drop-off, and it's Sal Perez of the Kansas City Royals. Salvador Perez, by far, is the best catcher available, turning 35 this year. Hard to believe. I personally think that Sal Perez is a Hall of Famer. He consistently gives you great defense. Obviously, no catcher really plays 162. Sal kind of does like 120, and then the rest of the games are at like DH. He did a little first base last year too. But I thought those were pretty weak depth positions for 35 and older players. So I got Max Muncy and Sal Perez.
Beautiful. Perez has always been a great player.
Oh, phenomenal. And a leader, right? I think he's one of the few captains in baseball.
I think he was kind of by far the leader of the playoff team last year, and they really looked for him for guidance going down because he had all those young guys, and he was the only true veteran that could guide the ship.
Yep.
So, that's fantastic.
I'm checking birthdays. Both those guys were in 1990. Sal Perez is in May, turns 35 this season, and Max Muncy's in August, also turning 35 this season.
Beautiful.
Dad, where are you going for your 4-5?
I'm going first base, first and foremost, Freddie Freeman.
I knew you would. Freddie Freeman, I think, is probably the best player available, raw player, on here. He was my number 1 for that position. But I had to kind of pick up. Again, a lot of this is just kind of picking and choosing your hitters.
Yep. Then I'm going DH.
Okay. Surprise.
Giancarlo Stanton.
Interesting. Okay. So Giancarlo Stanton is an interesting pick. He actually was not my 1 nor 2 in this situation. I think he has aged a lot. Their strikeouts are still high. He obviously has probably the most raw power on this list. But I think he's become a little less consistent as he ages. But, yeah, Freddie Freeman's going to be 35 this year. Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
But, okay, so you went, honestly, the positions that I thought had the most depth.
Yes.
Maybe you got the best player at some of those positions.
I kind of was looking for a common thread, and kind of if you look at their stats and consistency, I liked those 2 players a bunch. Giancarlo still, he does strike out a lot, but when he mashes, he mashes.
Stanton just turned 35, and Freeman will actually turn 36 later this season, so he looks pretty good for 36.
Yes.
Okay, Dad, I'm gonna probably with my wraparound, I'm gonna take. Another Dodger. I'm going to have a very shortstop third baseman, heavy Dodger. But Miguel Rojas,
I was going to take him.
I think, is the standout. To me, it's short. And again, Miguel Rojas would not be drafted really in any other draft. I think he's a fun guy. He's a good glue guy, good team guy. But he's 35 or 36 years old, still playing shortstop. I know he's not going to probably be the starter, but he's this utility guy now in the LA role, but played enough shortstop with Mookie. Injured last year, that has 100% earned his right to be on this draft, Miguel Rojas. And then, Dad, I'm going to grab an outfielder. And I'm going to draft George Springer.
Damn it.
I think George Springer, out of the people left, is really the only one that can play a decent center field. So he'll probably be my center fielder.
Okay.
And I think he's also 36. And that's surprising because him nor Freeman kind of looked that age, so compliments to them. But George Springer, very average year last year, but is going to give you a decent ball and play decent defense. And if you are in this 35 and older league, you hit a gap. Maybe you only get a double because you're slow, but I don't know. It just feels like a triple waiting to happen without some speed out there.
Okay, I'm with you. I'm going to go right fielder, Starling Marte,
Mm-hmm.
for right field. And then third base, I'm going to go Justin Turner.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. I had Justin Turner more as a DH, but again, shifting people around. And sure, Turner can still pick it at third. Great stuff, Dad. Okay. That sounds good. Springer, by the way, had 16 stolen bases last year as a 35-year-old. So
He always had some speed.
Hey, I know he
He
did.
was a leader with the Astros.
But it's just surprising at that age. And your name's not like Ricky Henderson. You're still picking up steals. All right. Oh, boy. I'm really torn at one position, so I'm going to grab Jason Heyward.
Interesting.
I'm going to play him in right. For now, I may move him to left. He does have kind of positions at the corners. Jason is still I got a solid defensive outfield. Jason Heyward can still play. He was on the Dodgers last year, the Astros last year. He doesn't strike out much, which I think is kind of rare for someone at his age. Normally, those strikeouts go up as you get older. They've actually gone down. And he was still a positive defender and a positive offensive player last year.
You know what they did? They had him just face right-handers.
Sure, platoon.
And against left-handers, he didn't do well, even with the Cubs.
Sure.
So when he got to the Dodgers, they said, okay, let's just platoon you, and it really helped him and navigate. And defensively, he's always been very strong.
Yeah. He only had 53 strikeouts the entire season last year. I know we're not playing 152 games, but still. And he had a high at stolen bases since before COVID. So there's still a little pep in the step and still some life in that arm. So I went with Jason Heyward. And then do I have one more, or is that it for me? No, I think I have one more. Yes. Boy, oh boy, it makes sense for me to take a second baseman. And I've been doing defense. Marcus Semien. I'm picking him over somebody. We'll see that's who you take. I'm not giving him away yet. When looking at, I'll just say it, Marcus Semien and Jose Altuve. Altuve, I think, is just a touch older. He has a better average. Semien doesn't. Semien has better power numbers. Semien doesn't get injured. Altuve has had a few injuries since COVID. Nothing, jaw dropping. Nothing that's sidelined him for the whole season. Marcus Semien, I believe, has led the league in at bats, plate appearances. Like, he is a consistent guy, and I mean, the last time he didn't play a full season was 2017. So I'm gonna go with a little bit more of a sure thing in Marcus Semien.
I love it. I'm going to go Altuve for second base then.
Kind of figured.
And I might as well do shortstop. I'm going to do Jose Iglesias.
That was my backup.
So I got the double play combination, and I'm very happy with that double play. Jose had a fantastic year last year with the Mets and did a lot of stuff. And he's still not signed for this year, which I thought was hard to believe.
Yeah.
But he has a lot of, great, fifth infielder, plays all the positions, and always been a great defensive player no matter where he was.
I'm going to finalize my outfield. You only have one outfielder right now, right?
Correct.
Marte was my number 2 pick, so I think that's good. So Springer was 1 for me. Heyward was 3. I'm going to put Mark Canha in left field. I know he's done a little bit of first base, obviously DH'd. But I think that's a pretty decent outfield. Canha obviously is the worst defensively, and probably could argue probably the worst offensively, but also doesn't really have a ton of strikeouts. He played more than Jason Heyward did last year. Still didn't eclipse 100 strikeouts. So the plate discipline of some aging outfielders is pretty good for me. I'll take that. And I will, just because I don't want you to take him no, you already have a DH. I'll just take my first baseman at Carlos Santana. I kind of had this plan. Do I get first pick? Do I go the offensive-minded or do I go the defensive-minded? Carlos Santana had a gold glove last year. I have a good amount of really good defense across my team. So I know I'm facing Chris Sale. We'll get to who my pick is for pitcher soon. But gives me some confidence that I'm not going to have these aging defenders out there, that I have a pretty decent. I mean, I got Salvador Perez, I got Santana, Semien, Rojas, Muncy in my infield. I think it's pretty good, and a pretty solid outfield too. So I'll take Carlos Santana, giving up the hits, and Freddie Freeman giving up that power, but I'll still take Carlos.
Okay. I'll pick a catcher. You know what? I'm going Travis
Darno. French, yeah.
I'll go with him for my catcher.
He was my backup.
Yep. He had a really good year. Signed, I think, with the Angels, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going another outfielder. I'm bringing back somebody that I just love and all that. I think he's going to be my left fielder, Andrew McCutchen.
You're making him... Whoa, I had him as a DH option. You're making him play outfield.
Yes, I am.
So what's so funny, I had 4 DH options. I'll be left with the one. But McCutchen was an option for me. Stanton and Turner. You're having Turner play third base, and you're having McCutchen play left field.
Yep.
Wow. He could have played still center, but probably not. But
I got a surprise for center field.
I'm looking up as... Did you take 2?
I did.
No, you took a catcher.
Yep.
That's right. When do you think the last time Andrew McCutchen has played center field?
I say 2 years ago.
I'll go 2021. I'll go a little longer. He played 3 games in 2022 in Milwaukee, but for a total of 13 innings. So that's not even that's like 4.5 games.
5 blowouts.
And then, and before that, 2019.
Okay.
So it's been a while. He played left field in 2022. No, not last year at all.
Really?
He played 5 games. That's not a lot. 5 games in right field for a total of 21 innings. So
last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And before that, he played 8 games. So it's been a while since McCutchen's really played a lot of defense.
One of my favorite players of all time.
Oh, me too. Great pick. Great team guy. Great guy. Then I'm down to my DH and pitcher. I think 4, which is funny. That's kind of how I wanted it because I thought there'd be a lot of options. There were. And I wanted pitcher last. I'm going to take JD Martinez as my DH. JD Martinez is an unsigned free agent right now, which always baffles me.
Because he wants to play.
Yeah, he has extraordinary plate discipline. Doesn't strike out that much. He'll be 38 this season. How many he had? His average dropped openly in 2024 with the Mets, but he was an all-star in 2023 with the Dodgers. Still graded out as a positive WAR, not like his years so much in Boston. But he's not a negative player, and I think he's the true DH option that's left for me. So I got JD at DH. And at pitcher, and there's a little strategy behind this, even though it's a draft, you never know who you're going to get. I'm going to go Zach Wheeler for the Philadelphia Phillies.
Huh.
So we have some dueling lefties with me, Wheeler, and Sale. He will be 35 this year, so he's just a touch younger.
He's a right-hander.
Oh, so right. Yes, yeah. You're absolutely right. Who was I thinking of? Nola? Oh, I don't know. He bats left. Not that any pitchers bat anymore. So we got a righty-lefty split. My bad, Phillies fans.
Way to wiggle out of it.
Yes, I tried. 16-7 last year, 2.57 ERA.
Great in the playoffs.
Yeah. So that 1 year younger, I think, could make a big difference. But Zach Wheeler, I'm thinking his whole team. Aaron Nola's a right-hander too. Who's the lefty in Philly that I'm thinking of? Am I thinking way back in the old brain of Cliff Lee or something? Was he right-handed too? Yeah.
Cole Hamels?
No, I don't know. I'm just picturing a Philly lefty in my mind, and it wasn't Zach Wheeler.
Yeah.
Anyways, Zach Wheeler, last pick of the draft. Don't know which arm you throw. Apparently makes you last pick.
He's ambidextrous.
Yeah, I doubt that.
Either hand.
But I think he's as dominant as Sale. Always seems to be the bridesmaid, never the bride when it comes to Cy Young. Cole was my backup to that. Cole's turning 35 this year. But I really do like a more powerful pitcher with Zach Wheeler than Cole. So that's our team. Dad, run me through. Oh, go ahead.
One more pick for me.
Oh, you got one more pick. I'm sorry.
My center fielder, Kevin Pillar.
He has retired. So
I didn't know that.
He is not eligible for this draft.
Okay.
Right, we can't just go draft like Ken Griffey Jr.
Sorry about that.
So if you have to still be active, so like Kevin Kiermaier
they had
also
him on
retired.
the free agent list.
He retired.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll double check that for the people since I didn't know Zach Wheeler's arm, but I think Kevin Pillar had like a whole article about retirement but yes. He said likely retire. I guess he's still...
Yeah, he's on a free agent list.
All right. His reveals timeline to decide.
Maybe he's waiting to see if he gets an offer.
All right, what's this saying? Change mind once. All right, I'll give it to you. Most recent article, Kevin Pillar has recently changed his mind, undone his retirement decision, and is now open to playing.
I love it.
We'll see if it happens. Kevin Pillar is your center fielder.
You got to have a Kevin on the team.
You got to have a Kevin. You got to have a Kevin. He was not even on my list because I did think he retired. I thought he retired.
In his heyday, he was a great center fielder.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. For the Blue Jays?
Yes. He used to run them down.
So, Dad, let me recap yours to see. You have Chris Sale on the mound.
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty good.
Pitching to Travis d'Arnaud. A decent year in the past couple years with the Braves. Yep. You have Freddie Freeman at first. You have Jose Altuve at second.
Yeah.
You have Jose Iglesias at short.
Yes.
Your third baseman is Justin Turner.
Yes.
Your left fielder is... McCutchen, that's right. Sorry. Kevin Pillar in center. And Starling Marte in right.
Yes.
And then your DH is Giancarlo Stanton.
That's pretty damn good.
It's a pretty even team. So I would say, again, you have a better offensive team. I would say a little bit more of an injury risk team. I'm looking at...
They're 35.
Well, hold on. I mean, that's why it's like durability matters.
Yeah.
Sale has injury history. Stan has injury history.
McCutchen
does. Does d'Arnaud have any injury history? I think Marte has injury history.
I think d'Arnaud's been okay.
Okay. My pitcher is Zach Wheeler. He is throwing to the captain, Sal Perez, of this team. I have Carlos Santana at first. I have Semien at second. Miguel Rojas at short. Max Muncy at third. Left field is Mark Canha. Center field is George Springer. Jason Heyward in right. And JD Martinez is my DH.
You know the player...
defense versus offense.
You know the player we don't have on either one of our lists, which is really a shame? Paul Goldschmidt.
He was a backup for me.
Yeah, but isn't it a shame he didn't make the list?
He could have been my DH.
Yeah.
I did like JD a little bit more. JD for me just because, this is where the memory blocks out the current ability. But JD Martinez was a killer with doubles. Like,
I know.
Dominated. Like, he just loved that wall in Fenway. Loved the monster.
I think that was his best years with the Red Sox.
Yeah. And Goldschmidt also. I mean, we have a former MVP, a Gold Glover, and I went with Santana instead because I think he's just a little bit more durable. We'll see. Goldschmidt has an MVP year in the Bronx this year. We'll wish we drafted him. But yeah, you have some power. You have the pop. So yeah, it just becomes a Wheeler versus Sale matchup. It's pretty fair. Sound off in the comments below who has a better, older team.
You know what? I'm really proud of both of our research developments and everything. I think these teams are pretty darn even. And, I think if you take it position by position, I think it's going to be kind of even going through 1 through 9 in the pitching. So I was impressed by our picks. And, I thought Chris Sale was the dominant pitcher. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why I took him first.
Let's look at all the pitching options, and these are starters only. We didn't look at bullpen. But I had mentioned Cole. I thought Seth Lugo could have been in this. He had some Cy Young votes last year. Chris Bassett, obviously Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer, Charlie Morton, Kyle Gibson, Clayton Kershaw, Jacob deGrom, Nathan Eovaldi, Yu Darvish, and maybe a little bit farther shot, but Alex Cobb. So you have some future Hall of Famers on that list. Again, I think
many. Did you say Kershaw?
I said Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah. Think about, he didn't make the list.
He's lefty. I would have lost a lot of money. I really thought Zach Wheeler was lefty.
You're going to hang on that for a while.
I don't know who in their rotation throws left, and that bothers me.
Go to the roster.
I will. Couple names that I think should have been... I don't know if it should have been, but I was surprised they didn't get called, is Whit Merrifield. I thought he was a very, play anywhere.
Him. Yep.
Monty Grandel could have been a third pick if we expanded somebody else.
Yeah, I had him.
Kyle Farmer had some experience at shortstop and third. TJ LeMahieu, former All-Star.
Yeah. I think he might be at the end of his baseball career, unfortunately.
Me too. Me too. But
hopefully, I don't think he's going to make the Yankee squad, but hopefully someone picks him up.
LeMahieu?
Yeah.
I mean, he's signed to a lot of money.
Great. Oh, I think Yankees will probably
just eat it.
Yeah.
Okay.
If they release him, they're But think about a guy in the bench plays 3 positions. I don't know. I just think that he could be valuable for somebody's bench. Tommy Pham's another one.
I did not want Tommy Pham on my team.
Just because he's cuckoo?
Yeah, that's a nice way to say it. Yes, just because he's cuckoo. Christopher Sanchez. This was a lefty that I was thinking of last year that went 11-9 for the Phillies.
Okay.
I know Sanchez is not white, and Wheeler is. I can see that, but I can't see which arm they throw from. That's who I had to be thinking of.
I love it. I love it.
But hope you enjoy that, folks. I do think we have a pretty even team.
Yeah. I would love to see what people vote for.
Yeah.
Vote for who wins this game.
Yes. The under 35-year-old or the over 35-year-old draft for the better 35 and older draft.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's very impressive how thin this group is. Like it really should have been a lot more, but people really don't stay in baseball for more than a decade, really. Like the average, I think, is like 4 or 5 years in baseball.
It's like a running back in football.
Right. So credit to these guys. They're going to get free games for life, right? They get that. They do 10 years of service. You get like free baseball games for the rest of your life. So they've all earned it. And it's going to be fun to see how they do it.
I was surprised on how many starting pitchers are still around after 35 with all the mileage on their arms.
I thought that was expected. I thought there'd be more first basemen.
Yeah.
But
if you don't hit it at being a first baseman, off you go.
I guess.
There's a power, with first base, third base, and left field.
I mean, Justin Turner, Gigi LeMahieu, and Whit Merrifield all had games at first base, so it's just we're fine where we put you.
Yeah.
But all right. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you watched all 27 minutes, please follow us and subscribe to us on YouTube. We are at Pastime Podcast _ on Twitter and Instagram, and we're the Father and Son Pastime Podcast on Facebook.
We'll have another one coming up in the near future about who won the offseason. Look for that as well. I'm excited about that one because there's about 6 teams that did phenomenally.
And in late March, which is one of my favorite shows of the year, is when we will do predictions for all of the 2025 season. We'll do Rookies of the Year, Cy Youngs, who's going to win the World Series. That's a really fun podcast.
And the awarding of the $50 and who got the most free agents predicted correctly.
It's a tight race, folks.
Yeah. 6-5.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks.